Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Stephen Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. We've got a challenger for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and his name is Sami Zayn. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to celebrate the tears of Chad Gable's daughter, no doubt, watching from home, crying. Much like
I thought you were going to say we were going to celebrate the tears of Chad Gable fans everywhere.
I was going to say, much like the fans of Chad Gable everywhere, trying to find any way out of this nightmare situation, including looking at his shoulders when he was clearly pinned by Sami Zayn.
Yeah, there was a lot of people
match
grasping on the faintest of hopes that somehow Chad Gable would still be put into that match. And I'm like,
Nah, is what I have to say.
I kind of knew when he was the last entrant in that Gauntlet match and how over the top he was. This is my moment. I need this more than you. It was like when Phil was in the Rumble and he was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're telegraphing the loss by being so huge with your emotions about it.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much because I honestly, yeah, that's a good point. But at the same time, they did a great job building up Sami Zayn with the injury and everything, and then even bringing up celebrating. Ramadan? Ramadan. Celebrating Ramadan where you have to fast. So we're going to talk about all of that here. We're going to talk about the rest of Monday Night Raw, including Seth Rollins making a tactical error by basically trying to unman the unmanable Drew McIntyre. Yeah, I don't know. That's not even a word. And we're later on in the show. Also, we're going to talk about so Brandon Thurston, John Pollock, and I forget the other guy's name. Thank you very much. Had some excellent reporting on the WWE lawsuit, where some prominent WWE corporate names have basically been revealed through their reporting. And we're going to talk about that after the Raw recap. I will include timestamps for this episode for that. But I figure we talk about Raw first because that's going to be, on everybody's heads. And then if you guys, don't. The lawsuit is very sensitive territory. It's very tricky territory. And so we're going to get through the Raw stuff. If you want to skip the lawsuit and go to the questions, you can do that. But first up, we're going to talk about Raw, Larson.
Yeah. So we already kind of started talking about Chad Gable not facing Gunther at WrestleMania. It was the main event, the Gauntlet match to determine Gunther's opponent at Mania. Didn't quite give it the full hour. It's about 45 minutes, I want to say.
Yeah.
And Ricochet and JD, their match, which was great, took about the first 12 minutes of that. But we said going into it was going to be Sami or Gable, and I think I said whoever those two was the first to enter the match was going to win.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right.
I said initially that I thought Sami should be one of the first two in. Didn't work out that way.
I thought, you could have done that. You could have had. I thought that Gable might have been one of the first, and he'd run the whole thing and then lose it at the end. But also the way, and it's so great, like the misdirection, because the way they've been building him. Sometimes they build somebody and they make it seem like it is, basically a density. I mean, destiny for them.
Yeah.
To win something. And sometimes that pays off. That actually does happen. And then sometimes it's like misdirection. You had Cody giving him his Chad Gable's his endorsement, all these serious videos, bringing in his daughter, and ending it on two baby faces, on two good guys who are both in their own way to steal the current popular catchphrase for Cody Rhodes, trying to finish their own damn story.
Yeah.
Gable trying to avenge his own bad fatherhood, and Sami, understanding that I was in the main event and I want to be a contender. I want to do something historical. Gable's the only guy to have beaten Gunther along this, reign of his.
By count out.
Sure, yeah, but just like they referenced Seth Rollins having beat Roman Reigns by DQ. That's a thing. That's a thing that they can reference. So he's got history with Gunther right there. Sami's got his own history with the Intercontinental Championship. And for my money, and I totally understand what you're saying in terms of them kind of telegraphing it with Chad Gable being over the top. I honestly, towards the finish, no clue. I had no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. And I loved it. I absolutely loved that about it. I thought they could have gone either way. All the false finishes. Man, I thought it was really good. Let's indulge really quick, Larson. The Gable crybabies out there who see what happened at the end and claim that Gable's shoulders were off the mat, and that's going to be their way into a triple threat.
No, it's not. No. I mean, you indulge us in like giving that credence? No, because I'm not going to. And that's not out of anger or spite or anything, but it's a situation where there's a story being presented to the viewing audience here, and here I get it. And I'm sure I've been guilty of this at times too. I feel like there's a lot of wrestling fans, and I understand you forge a connection with these performers. You want to see them do well and succeed. I get it. Like I said, I think it happens to me too, where we're so wrapped up in seeing this performer whose work we enjoy so much, whose work we admire potentially so much, finishing their own stories and achieving success, that we are blinded by the story being presented to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it endlessly on the show here. At no point over the last few months has WWE invested any time or creative energy in telling a story with Chad Gable that would naturally lead to him facing Gunther at WrestleMania. They have not done it at all. And Chad Gable's a fantastic wrestler. He's got a ton of charisma. I think with the right creative, absolutely, he could be someone who could beat Gunther. 1,000%. That creative has not existed for Chad Gable in the last 5 months. So they did a good job casting some doubt as to who was going to win the match in the last match, the Gauntlet match. But especially when Chad Gable was going over the top. This is my moment. It's like, no, Sami's winning this. Sami's winning this.
I'll even go like a step further. I think it's entirely possible that Chad Gable will beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Champion. They're sort of setting up Gunther to be his Roman. You made my child cry. But just like we saw with Cody, you got to go through the adversity. You got to go through the bad times before you get to the good times. And like you said, over the past 5 months, they haven't done anything. It's just been over 2 weeks where all of a sudden he's wearing a suit. He's not hanging out with Alpha Academy. He's talking about his daughter now after a couple months of not giving a shit about all that stuff. Now, yeah, there has been, and I appreciate this. He'll always go to Pierce whenever there's a spot open, be like, hey, can I get on this? And it's like, no, there's somebody else. Can I get it? No, there's somebody else. And so they've kind of given us a couple like droppings.
Sorry, Chad, you haven't won lately.
Right, exactly. But if this is the direction they continue to go with him, if he leaves Alpha Academy behind,
then they're telling the story.
And you continue to tell the story. Because Gunther, I think it's entirely, if Gunther was supposed to take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, he was going to come out of WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion.
I still have right now a good degree of confidence that Gunther's still going to walk out of WrestleMania still Intercontinental Champion.
I agree 1,000%. I think that's a distinct possibility. And I also think that might be match of the year candidate right there. Those two guys, and I know they had a match on Raw, but it's a Raw match.
Yeah.
Like months ago. But a WrestleMania match between Gunther and Sami Zayn, oh, wow. That's going to be something else.
Yeah.
And I think Sami could easily lose that, be fine. And I still think Chad Gable can be the guy. And I would totally support that if you give us the damn story. You know,
that's the thing. They haven't done it.
Don't revert now to comedy stuff. And I don't think they're going to. This seems like it's a major turning point for Chad Gable. And I love to see it because I think the guy does have the ingredients, but you know, you can't, nothing in this Triple H era of booking would lead me to believe that, you know, this 2-week, 3-week thing of, you know, a couple video packages and him wearing a suit, not hanging out with Alpha Academy is going to be the thing to get the job done. You got to go a lot deeper than that. You got to suffer before you get to the prize.
Yeah. Yeah. And we haven't necessarily seen that leading up to the match last night to WrestleMania. So, you know, we were both incredibly pessimistic that Chad Gable, we didn't think it was an impossibility, but, you know, I think we both saw the story just wasn't there right now for Gable to win the match and to face Gunther at WrestleMania. And again, that's not a slight on Chad Gable. at all. He's great. We've been singing Chad Gable's praises here for years. He's great and creative on a regular basis has done him a disservice.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the Shorty G days, like
big time.
His creative on main roster has not been very good for the most part.
No, it has not been.
And if the story was there, that naturally led to him beating Gunther, we'd be invested. It hasn't been. So it wouldn't make sense from a storyline perspective for him to win last night and face Gunther at WrestleMania. It seems like on maybe a somewhat smaller level, they're doing something. It's not a one-to-one analogy, like with Cody last year, and Michael Cole referenced this during his sit-down interview with Cody, or I guess it was another interview they did back in October, where Michael Cole pretty much said, "You're on the precipice of winning the WWE title, just like your dad. Is that going to be your story? Always coming up short."
Yeah.
And now they're seemingly do something comparable with Chad Gable, where he had several opportunities with Gunther. Best he could do was a win by countout. He had this opportunity, fell short. Now is the time that if you're going to build up Chad Gable to be the guy to beat Gunther, you got to start investing. My dog just pulled my earbuds out of my head.
Yeah, you got to start investing. Stocks, bonds. I don't know what he was going with that. Maybe investing in, doggy door, or like one of those little doggy things you keep your dog away. You don't want to do that, though. I love that dog. Look at, oh, there she is. Oh, my goodness gracious. Look at that face. The people in the audio realm, I'm so sorry, but you cannot be privy to this. That dog is the most adorable thing.
So she's basically fully recuperated from her, she got spayed a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like she's a puppy again. It's like she's 5 months old again.
I love it.
I'll be sitting on the chair, like minding my own business. She'll jump up, start pawing on my face because she wants attention.
Yeah. No, that's the best part.
That's
of
what she was doing. She was pawing on my
Look at
leg.
That underbite. That underbite is everything. It's really amazing.
It really
so you're saying they need to invest in Chad Gable?
Yeah, and I think now is kind of the pivot point where we're going to see if they're going to do it. If from this moment on, if they put Gable back at the Alpha Academy and it's same old comedy stuff, he's not sniffing that Intercontinental title.
I will almost guarantee he'll probably give Maxine Dupree a little pep talk, and then he's going to beat feet. He's going to be out of there. He's going to say, okay, Otis, you take over Alpha Academy or something like that. They got to get him out of there. You can't. You cannot do that comedy bullshit. And I love that. I like comedy wrestling. The two don't mix. That you can't do that. I'm sorry, you don't.
It's
people have given examples here and there, and yes, there are outliers. There are some, but like in this situation, the leader of Alpha Academy with that band of goofs, it's just not going to work to beat Gunther.
Yeah, and the traditional WWE booking approach, comedy wrestlers typically don't work as champions.
Yeah,
credible, champions who are seen as threats. All right, you need to get down, dog.
Let's talk about Maxine Dupree really quick, because there was a controversial bit, and on one hand I appreciate WWE taking something that went viral and sort of turning it into a story, and it's honestly something for her to do. So last week, Candice LeRae was sort of showing hints of a heel turn, being sort of a grumpy goose, not getting her opportunities, and so she's going to start being rude. This week, her and Indy Hartwell had a tag match against Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree, who's been buddy lately. And during the match, Candice LeRae, after I'm trying to be serious here. For the audio crowd, the dog is wrapping up Larson's earbuds.
Yeah, in my earbuds, yes.
Candice LeRae, after witnessing Maxine Dupree do a backwards caterpillar and then stopping it, backs her in a corner and completely and totally humiliates her verbally. Says, "This is why people on the internet boo you. You're a joke. What would your dead brother think if he was here to see you?" And then Maxine, so distraught, starts to wander off, gets a big boot from Indy Hartwell, eats the loss, and now she's shook. They were not talking about Max Dupree. Maxine Dupree actually does have a brother who was tragically killed in a car accident. He was, from what I understand, he had a condition where he could not drive, and so he had to take a lift to get to a place, and the Lyft driver unfortunately got into a nasty car accident. He passed away. That was in 2017. How do you feel about them going there? in this situation?
Well, there's two different things. Was it necessary? Probably not. I think going with the tack that Candace was going down initially, which is you're embarrassing yourself doing this stuff. No one in the locker room respects you. This is why everybody boos you. I think that alone would have been enough heat to not have to bring up the brother.
The internet thing, I think, was probably enough. Yeah.
If it was something where Maxine was on board with the inclusion of the line about the brother, if it's a situation, generally, if there's something like along those lines, because I saw a lot of people bringing up Christian constantly mentioning wrestlers' dead fathers.
Sure.
And they're like, all right, well, what's the difference between that and the Maxine situation? And generally my attitude along all those things, like if everybody's on board with it, everybody's comfortable with it, that's what they decide to do creatively. That's their decision. Now, understandably, it's a subjective thing where people are, whether they think it's necessary, whether they think that's something that's going to enhance the story or not. But if the participants involved in a situation like this are all on board with it, that's their decision to make. And people are going to have their own takes because it's a subjective interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But if everybody's like, yeah, this is the direction we want to go, and I mean everybody, if Maxine, Candace, everybody's comfortable with it, then that's their decision.
I'm there with you. Yeah, I think if I really gave it some thought, I'd probably be able to find some difference thematically between what they're doing here and what they're doing with Christian. I don't think it's apples and apples. I really don't.
No, I don't think so either.
That being said, like everything in pro wrestling to a degree, as long as and I'd like to think in a perfect world, this is the type of situation where, the actual wrestlers involved are the ones offering up this as something that they can use. As somebody who lost his father recently, the Christian stuff does not bother me at all. In fact, I cracked about it, and that's honestly how I deal with the trauma of losing my dad, is oftentimes through humor. Like I find, the dark humor in Christian going around saying, hey, I know you got a dad and your dad is dead. That doesn't affect me in my real life. It is fictional. It doesn't bother me. So if as long as Maxine, was the character. I forget the performer's name.
Yeah.
But as long as she is on board with it and totally okay with it, and ideally is involved with the creative behind it, given that it is such a sensitive subject, then it honestly, it's going to be, a lot of it is going to be kind of an execution, so to speak, because if this serves to add dimension to her character, then awesome. Then that's great. Then you would love to think that her loved one would be like, yeah, go ahead and do this. If it's going to help you achieve this dream and get you further along. Mm-hmm. If it's going to add some dimension to her character, then I think it's great. Again, assuming that everybody's on board and they're going to do this. And, her situation and Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell's situation needs something to give it some attention. Mm-hmm. Was this necessary to do that? I don't think so. I think bringing up the internet stuff was enough.
Yeah.
But if this is the thing that everybody's on board with, it is giving it extra attention. It is causing conversations to happen. And who am I to tell Maxine Dupree, what is ground she can travel and what is not ground she
again
should
under
travel.
The assumption that everybody is on board with it. I think there's probably a lot of history of when Vince was in charge of creative, of him taking personal stuff and simply exploiting that personal stuff for the sake of what he thought an interesting story would be, regardless if the talent was on board with it or not.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And obviously that is a horrible situation.
Mm-hmm. That's way different.
That is way different. I'm saying, and I think
You're
a
right.
lot of fans,
right.
who watch wrestling, still in some respects, kind of view things through that perspective, which is what we got for years and years and years and years and years.
Dude, how many times did we say, since the beginning of the podcast 2014, along the way, anything that was sort of in this same territory, and we're like, well, as long as the wrestlers are okay with it, as long as, it was maybe their decision or their offering, or it was brought up and they were like, yeah, let's run with it. And then it just turns out it was hoisted on them. Like they just received a script and the shit's in it.
Yeah. And they got to deal with it. Yeah.
Cheeseman here has the ultimate example. That's Melanie Pillman.
Yeah.
Oh, like that is honestly to this day the low point in my opinion, the low point out of many low points.
A lot of low points.
The low point in WWE history was that interview, because that was just, good Lord, that man has no soul whatsoever to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it context is everything, and participation is everything. If this is something that she came to them with, or if she was like very receptive to the idea, then great. If it's not, and so much of it matters. So much of that matters. If this is something hoisted upon her and told you have to do this, which would surprise me in today's WWE, given everything we've heard.
Yeah.
Then
that's completely unacceptable. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyways, before we continue on with our Raw review, Larson, would you like to pay some bills?
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp, Steve.
Yes.
I got a couple questions for you.
Okay. Hit me.
So, what would you do if you lived on the Kota Ibushi schedule and could add an extra hour to your day? It seems like it's a promising idea. Or how about this? If you could bend the reality of our universe itself and give yourself unlimited time, how would you use it?
Kind of like Oppenheimer, yeah. So unfortunately for me, Larson, I'm neither Kota Ibushi, nor do I have the ability to manipulate time and space like Oppenheimer. So, like everyone else, if there's something special or important I want to fit into my schedule, I got to make it a priority.
Yeah, I hear you there, and I've talked about it extensively before, but in my mid-20s, I was having a lot of trouble prioritizing what was important to me due to severe anxiety, and therapy helped me figure out what mattered to me most. So, so I can make an effort to put those things first and foremost.
And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Yeah, we never know. Like you got a young one, you got a puppy. I got an old one, and it's the same degree of unpredictability.
Yeah. She's here, she's chilling, she's mellow, and then she hears a noise. It could be down the road. Hackles go up in protection mode.
Always. It has to be during an ad read, too.
And of course, yes. Of course. I give her a rawhide before the show starts thinking, this will hold over.
I did the same.
Calm. That thing was gone before it even started,
Yeah, man, yeah.
What can you do, huh?
No, luckily mine's been all right. Mine's been all right today. Where is she? Oh, not that way. I guess
other way.
Hold on a second. She is there there she is. Look at her butt.
Before we get to the breakdown of Raw, let's talk about Seth Rollins' tactical error last night. He made a huge mistake.
Why? Why, Seth? Why? What are you doing,
Why,
man?
Seth? Why? You think, all right, Seth, you're coming off like a bit of a dork throughout this whole thing with Cody and the Bloodline. Like, I feel like his heart's in the right place, the character of Seth Rollins, but man.
Yeah.
He's not coming out of this so far looking great. And then he pretty much says everything else is more of a worry. He talks about Cody's issues, Bloodline, his back, his knee, everything basically in his life, every stress, every anxiety, every worry in his life takes precedent over Drew McIntyre. And I understand, Seth, you've beaten Drew twice. I get that. Nonetheless, you shouldn't be saying that when you have a title defense after tag match the night before against an entirely different Drew McIntyre. It's not a smart tactical decision.
As many of the friendos know, we discussed this in the pre-show, but I'll reiterate it here. As many of the friendos know, you and I have a decades-long basketball rivalry, one-on-one.
Yes.
And at no point have I ever even considered giving you the fuel by saying something along the lines of, Larson, I've got a dog who's always interrupting my podcast. It's tax season, so that's annoying. That's a stress. I got, a 9-year-old losing her glasses. That's a stress. Very low, like the lowest priority stress in my life. The least thing I have to worry about is your shitty defense or your lousy jump shot.
Yeah.
I would never consider, not just because I'm like like your best friend, but that would bring the dog out in a way I've never seen before, and probably assuredly assure that you would dominate me from that point on. Or if not, several flagrant twos.
In the sports world, that's known as bulletin board material, where
right. I took that personal
an opponent
quote.
Or a future opponent says something that upsets you or offends you to such a degree that you post it up in the locker room or in your locker and look at that to motivate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how Drew reacted to that line.
Ooh, seething.
Oof. Tactical error by Seth Rollins. Man, at this juncture, I feel like this should be a squash match in favor of Drew McIntyre, honestly.
I kind of agree, yeah.
That Drew should just take his time, just absolutely wreck Seth Rollins. No help from the bloodline.
Mm-mm.
He just has so much motivation that it unlocks another gear within him, and he just wrecks him.
Yeah.
It probably won't be that. It'll probably be something where he's barely hanging on in terms of being competitive in the match. Bloodline interference, he wins that way, probably.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm going to be honest. At this point, it's going to be really satisfying if and when Drew wins.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I don't care what Drew has done. Number one, we love Drew, and he's done amazing work lately.
He's doing amazing work, yeah.
He's great. But even beyond that, like, you can't say those things to a person. You just can't, unless you're MJ. But like that was my favorite part about The Last Dance was all the people, all the smallest slights, the smallest nearly.
His Hall of Fame speech was every chip on his shoulder, going back to like high school at least. He was talking about
the people he wasn't able to cook on the court. Mm-hmm. He then unleashed on in his Hall of Fame speech. It was amazing. So yeah, this is going to be. I'm going to be rooting hardcore for Drew. And because this is too far. This is too far for Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Seth took things way too far. What'd you think about that Cody interview last night? Wow. Number one Cody stand here. Steve took a nap.
Dude, look, man, I'll be honest with you. These days,
did he get you in the feels when he started crying?
These days, dude.
Put it up, Steve.
I'm putting my ones up, man. I want everybody to turn on Roman and Roman to still win. That's what I want to have happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll probably still cheer when Cody wins. But like, my mom, my dad,
you don't like seeing human emotion out of your wrestling superstars, huh?
Nah, man. I like when Rock is sitting there saying, Pharaoh, call him shithead. That's what I want. Hey, Cody, call your mom shithead. No, you know what? It's too much. It's too much. Come on, man. Bring some heat. Don't. I honestly, when I was watching this, I will tell you what I was thinking. Because he's sitting there like, my dad, my mom. I was sitting there thinking like, and it was a great performance. Don't get me wrong. But I was sitting there thinking, I can't wait till Rock drops 20 minutes vertical video about this. I can't wait to see The Rock drop 20 minutes on this. Rock's been cooking lately, and it's been cracking me up. I love to see it. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was well delivered. I thought it was fine. It didn't say anything new. It didn't advance any. As soon as I saw those two chairs in the middle of the ring, I was like, man. And then when Michael Cole said it was Cody coming out, I was like, damn, dude, the one thing Cody can do is just talk a lot sometimes. And so now I wasn't into it. I thought it was a good performance, but like, you gotta honestly, even like up until Seth said that shit about Drew McIntyre, even their segment just seemed a bit on the redundant side. And Cody's interview, I'll be honest, a bit on the redundant side.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It wasn't as if, at least in terms of the main event storylines in the men's division, there was a whole lot of movement. It seems like heck, even on SmackDown last week, there wasn't a ton of movement. They spent 10 minutes to try to get an answer out of Cody and Seth regarding whether they're going to accept The Rock's challenge. You know? But at this point, it's kind of like the stories are set. We have a little bit less than a month before Mania. It'd be cool if there were some more twists and turns, but I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot of, as opposed to, hey, let's create segments that reiterates the story beats we've already hit, plus hopefully build anticipation for the match. And I think that was more the point of this one was, we just saw Cody step up to The Rock and slap him. Now let's bring it back to the human side of Cody and what this means to him, to reiterate, there's that phrase, finish the story, but they haven't really got into in detail like they did during the interview here, what that is and why that matters to a degree. They just been tossing around, finish the story. And having Cody talk in detail about it again to really hammer home that point. Maybe that was the goal in here.
Absolutely. And I agree. And I'm in favor of that. I like fleshing out your characters. I think it's a good idea. But unless there was some sort of new angle to take on that, I didn't see a ton of value in it the way it was presented last night. Again, like I said, it was well performed, and I'm never going to complain about fleshing out characters and getting some more stuff out of them. I'm even a fan of, I like when Cody brings the emotion. I really do. Rock has just been cracking me up lately, and I find, and this is one thing, I don't even need more twists and turns necessarily, but there's a lot of story ground that you can cover between Rock and Roman Reigns. And right now, I feel that's been the largest untapped area that I really want to see. We saw a week ago Roman Reigns being upset that The Rock hadn't acknowledged him yet. We got that. He seemed cool with it this week. But I still feel like Roman can't be happy. Like, Rock's got to do something to let us see some dissent between those two, even in the smallest way, and then we can anticipate that happening, that playing out, I should say, during the night one main event. And so, yeah, that's sort of where I'm most interested in the story right now. Look, every season of Breaking Bad, I'm not going to say this about Succession because Succession was an incredibly efficiently told show.
Oh, yeah.
But every season of every great show has its moments where it's fleshing things out and it's sort of at a standstill. And that's what this was last night, and I'm fine with that. They are sort of, telling that you get one moment per segment on SmackDown these days. This week it was the slap, and I guess the acceptance of the match. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good performance, but
not necessarily essential in Steve's eyes.
Not really, no.
All right, some Cody fan you are. Before we jump into the breakdown of Raw,
this is where my allegiances are right here.
Put them up, Steve.
I got to put this one.
Before we get to the breakdown of Raw, hey, Steve, can you tell the good people out there about the Friendo Club setup?
Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here today because are you looking at this Friendo Club setup? Man, let me tell you about this Friendo Club setup right here. I'm like a car salesman now.
You really are.
Yeah. Here's a great thing about the Friendo Club setup. If you like Steven Larson, guess what? You get more Steven Larson. That's right. You like Steven Larson, but you don't like wrestling? Great. We've got the Friendo cast. That's right. We don't talk a lick about that stupid professional wrestling and Friendo cast. It's once a week. We just dropped a new one yesterday on Monday. We talked about the death of Rooster Teeth and the harsh realities of digital media. You're like, oh my God, Steven Larson, you guys have been in the digital media space for a long time. What do you think about Rooster Teeth time? We cover it for an hour. We do it for an hour. We could have gone a lot longer, to be honest with you.
Easily.
Every week, you get a new bonus episode called Friendo Cast. You get to ask your questions on that show. Also, you get to ask your questions on our regular recap episodes. We're about to read some questions at the end of this recap episode, and they're all from Friendo Club Setup members. Also, access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. You want to win Big Blue and get this hat? Oh, man, you can do that, but you got to have the Friendo Club set up and participate in the Big Blue Predictions Challenge coming up at WrestleMania. How do you do that, you ask? Oh, easy. So easy. We've got 2 different ways you can do it. You love your YouTube? Become a YouTube channel member here at youtube.com/Steven Larson, or you can go to Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson for $5 a month. Choose the Friendo Club setup. Bang! You got it right there in your mailbox. Not actually in a mailbox. The email, I guess.
Email box.
At the Patreon or whatever. So yeah, that's the Friendo Club setup. It's a great thing. You should get it.
Fantastic. It's great. It's the best. The best.
Larson,
Also,
you want to tell the people how great it is to subscribe to the channel?
Oh, it's great. You subscribe to the channel, you hit notify bell, you get notified we have new episodes. We have at least 5 new episodes, new podcasts. That's at least an hour long. It's a lot of entertainment, free gratis to you.
Entertainment.
All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, hit that notify bell. We're trying to get to 201,102 subscribers. We're still about 300 and change short. Really hoping to get there by WrestleMania. So please help us achieve that goal. Hit that subscribe button, that notify bell. While you're hitting buttons here on the YouTube, hit that one that looks like a thumbs up. That's the like button. We got 540 people watching here live, yet we only have 91 likes. We like to get 50% likes when we do the live stream here. So that means 270 likes we'd like to get in short order. So if you could, please hit that like button. If you're here, you're listening to the show, you must like it. You must like us. Or at least the idea of pro wrestling. Even for this background noise while you're working, hit that like button.
Like the mere concept of pro wrestling is enough.
What's that?
The mere concept of pro wrestling is
enough.
If
you kind of like pro wrestling, hit that like button. So yeah, if even if it's just background noise while you're working, hit that like button.
Hit that like button.
Hit that like button, please.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Raw. Kicked off with all the stuff that happened on with the SmackDown with the slap. Drew McIntyre comes out. This is kind of a long segment, so we're not going to do it verbatim. No. But Drew comes out once again, calls Seth Rollins a junkie. He says he just had to accept the tag match, 2 main events back to back, had to get that fix. He says, when I dropped Cody, at least he saw sense. I dropped you last week and you find that fire and channel into your own selfish agenda because of course you do. I always tell the truth. You want to know what the bigger picture is? It's not Cody, Roman, Seth, or Drew. It's The Rock. Hear me out. Think about the history of our industry. We went to carnivals. We went to smoky armories, then to sold-out arenas. What's next for us in this industry? Working with one of the most powerful people on earth. Obviously, he's upset with Cody, insulted his family. I get it, but it's none of my business, and it's none of yours either. Once you realize pro wrestling's bigger than you, maybe you'll finally become the legend you think you are in your own mind. Everyone's prayers have been answered. We have a new champion in Drew McIntyre we can invest in and be proud of. And I appreciate that right now Drew is calling The Rock the bigger picture. And Seth, I think in his promo, refers to Drew McIntyre being the people's champion of the people's of The Rock, basically. I'm sorry, the new corporate champion of The Rock.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Drew McIntyre being the Raw representative of the Bloodline?
That could be interesting because that's what Seth says. Like, you're basically an honorary member of the Bloodline. Mm-hmm. So Seth's music comes out. He says, do us a favor and shut your mouth. You've been big in attention, so I'm going to give you a little bit of the Seth Rollins rub. Says, I got some good news for you now that I got the main event of night 1 on lock. I've been thinking about that Claymore from last week, and it's almost gotten my full attention. You know what would really get my full attention? Another one right here. So come on, do it. He gets on his knees and puts his hands out. Do it. Oh, wait, you're a coward. Let me do this. So he turns with his back facing Drew, arms out. So the crowd's singing the song. He's like, come on, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And Drew's put off by this. He says, all right, listen, before this gets any weirder, I just want to talk to you. I want you to listen, and don't just listen, hear me. You were right. You were right. You were the one who told me before our last match, Drew, you got to get over the bloodline. They're over you. Get over it. He says, I do the laugh not to be funny, but that's how you sound. You were right. I had to get over it. It kills me when Jimmy and Solo get in my business, but I focused on the task at hand, the wins. I do it for that title. I do it for Raw. As a champion, that's all you should care about. I returned the favor. I gave you the same advice, and I didn't mock you. I pleaded with you to take your own advice, and you didn't because all you care about is you.
Yeah. And then Seth says, "Oh, you're starting to remind me of somebody. What's his name again? He's got tattoos. He's from Chicago." So the crowd starts chanting CM Punk. He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right. You're starting to remind me of CM Punk because you're a hypocrite." And he says, "For years and years, you've gone on about how the bloodline cost you this, screwed you out of that. Up until a few weeks ago, you were saying that all over and over. Now it seems like you want to be an honorary member. So Dallas, help me out. Drew, you beat Cody, but could you do it without the bloodline? You beat Jay. Could you do that without the bloodline? No, I'm not buying this crap that you don't want them to interfere. I think you want them to help you take this title off my waist. You want to stand next to The Rock and be the people's champion chosen one. I got news for you, Jack.
Jack.
It ain't going to happen. Let me lay it out for you. Night 1, me and Cody, we're taking down the bloodline. Night 2, you and me one-on-one. The same thing is going to happen that always happens. And the title is on the line. I'm going to stomp your head into the mat, pin your shoulders, 1, 2, 3. And the last thing you're going to hear is the people singing my song.
So then Drew sort of issues a bit of a challenge, not realizing that it was a challenge. He says, "I get what you're trying to do. You want me to put you out of your misery, but I'm not going to do it. There's nothing you can say to provoke me because I got to go to WrestleMania and pin you." And then he walks off, and that's when Seth says what he says.
Says, "Oh, Drew, one more thing. You want to know why I haven't paid much attention to you? Because all the things, all the threats, all the stress I'm worried about going into Mania. The Rock, Roman, my broken back, my blown out knee. There's all those. And then at the very bottom of the list, the thing I worry about the least is Drew McIntyre." So Drew storms back towards the ring. Seth goading him on. He's like, come on. And then Drew doesn't do it, though. Doesn't do it.
Yep.
Walks
Boy,
back
he's
all
seething,
angry.
though. He
is
seething.
Mad.
Yeah, man. I mean, is there any chance? Because I had said before that this might even rope Drew into, the whole main event, idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me if we saw Drew actively approach the bloodline at this point.
Yeah. It's
given that he said
possible.
that.
Entirely
He's like,
possible.
okay, well, those guys, the bloodline's at the top of your priority list. Guess what? I'm going to be there too.
I'll put this out there. I know we've been saying it's a strategic error on Seth's part to get Drew this angry, but that's kind of been Drew's Achilles heel since he's turned heel, is that when he lets his emotions get the better of him, he freaks out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He can't retain his calm in high pressure moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this could be, smart tactically of Seth Rollins to get in Drew's head and keep the pressure on him all through WrestleMania, because as we've seen numerous times where Drew feels like he's on the precipice of victory, he tends to put too much pressure on himself and messes up.
I'm sure that's what Seth is thinking, but oh man, I don't know. Tactical error in my opinion. After that, we see Damage Control arriving.
Damage Control.
Earlier, because the Kabuki Warriors got their tag title match on Monday that night. And then we see a Chad Gable video package.
One that was on social media over the weekend, yeah?
Yeah, really well put together package where he talks about, what it means to him, his child and stuff.
To run the gauntlet. No mention of how it would affect them if he lost, though.
Right, exactly, yeah. After that, we had Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. They gave this plenty of time, and man, it was a really physical, really fun match. Yeah,
it was really good.
This.
It was really, really, really good. Becky gets the win here. Each of them got to hit their finish before the finish.
Yeah, that was cool. They just
Becky
roll away.
Manhandle slam. Liv hits Oblivion, but both of them, each of them rolled out of the ring when the other hit their finish on them. The actual finish saw Liv charge at the corner. Becky sidesteps, but she ends up eating a knee. Liv jumps off the middle rope right into a manhandle slam, so Becky gets the win. As soon as Becky wins, Rhea Ripley makes her way to the ring. She grabs the mic and says, "Congratulations, you beat Liv Morgan. Now was it all worth it? Every single week you get into these fights and leave everything in the ring. Every single week that goes by, we get closer to Mania. You fight anyone, anywhere. You say you do it for the people, for your family. I know the real reason. You say you have to prove to yourself you're still the best. But the thing is, you know deep down that I'm better than you. That's why you accept all these matches. You want an excuse as to why you couldn't beat me. I promise you, if you don't face me 100%, you'll no longer walk out the man. You'll just be a disappointment."
Yeah, man. Becky says, before the Rumble, I said you may be better than me, and I need to prove you're not. That little bit of doubt, I planted a seed of doubt, and that grew into a tree with roots and branches and leaves and vines. But what you have to understand about me is that when people believe in me, I'm good. But when people doubt me, I'm great. So, Rhea, if it has to be me against the whole world doesn't stand a chance.
Yep. And then we get this video package where Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis announced that Judgment Day is going to defend the tag titles in a 6-team ladder match at WrestleMania. They're going to have qualifying matches. 3 teams from Raw, 2 teams from SmackDown, plus Judgment Day. And they announced what the first 3 qualifying matches were. It was DIY and the Creeds, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
New Day versus
Imperium?
No, Imperium wasn't on the field.
Okay.
Why can't I remember this?
Well, it's going to be New Day coming out of that one.
Yeah.
Who's
New Day? It's going to be DIY, and then the other one was Alpha Academy they're facing. Oh, Alpha Academy versus New Day.
Okay, New Day's going to win that.
The third qualifying match. I just had it at the tip of my tongue, and then
is it the quarter cat the Bait and Done?
No, they're on SmackDown.
Oh, so they didn't announce the SmackDown ones.
No,
okay, for some reason I missed this. I don't know why.
They had the graphic up. Maybe.
Okay, so it's DIY versus the Creed brothers. Ms. Truth, the Awesome Truth versus Indus Share.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Thank you, Pontus Olsen and Fireball.
Thank you. So it's going to be Awesome Truth. It's going to be DIY, and it's going to be New Day.
Yeah. Okay. And then over on SmackDown, we can guess. They got to get done and bait in that match, in that Mania.
You think
match.
so? Maybe they'll have Street Profits and AOP in a qualifier.
Street Profits need to win that. They'll win that one. They'll win that one. And then it'll be Bait and Done.
So what do you think about the possibility of 2 teams each getting 1 pair of belts? Somebody gets the red belts, somebody gets the blue belts, and that's how they split the tag titles.
I don't like it. I could see it maybe happening.
At least it happens during a match, and it makes sense as opposed to.
So okay, I'll say this. I will say this. If it's explicitly stated that the stipulation is the titles are split in the match, then I'm totally cool with it. If it's the kind of thing where Judgment Day walks in as unified tag champions, like the physical in my opinion, there needs to be something explicitly said. I know they did the thing like a while ago anyways. It was a long time ago. Where they had they had a number 1 contender match on SmackDown, and they had a number 1 contender match on Raw. But ever since then, those titles have firmly been unified.
Yeah.
Which I think the governing body or management or whoever needs to make it understood that these titles, yes, they're physically represented by separate titles, but they are defended as one thing. So if a tag team drags down one title, if Steven Larson grabbed the Raw titles, then we win the whole damn thing. Then we get the SmackDown ones too.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Finn later on would go to complain. Finn and Priest would go to complain, and Finn referred to them as his 2 titles.
Yeah.
So maybe they're already setting up the idea. All right.
That could be. And if that's the case, if it is, I would like that to be sort of spelled out as opposed to, oh, these guys got this one and these guys got this one miraculously at the same time. I don't know. It feels kind of cheap to me.
Well, then they might think, oh, there's intrigue at the end if one team pulls 1 titles and the other team pulls another titles. How are they going to figure this all out? Well, guess what? You have 2 titles, each branded for their respective shows. And it probably just so happened that the SmackDown team gets the titles with the blue straps and the Raw team gets the title with the red straps,
I know. I don't like happenstance. What was the rumor a while ago? They were doing camera tests on a new tag titles. Was it unified tag titles? I forget.
I don't recall.
I forget what that was. I think the Judgment Day should have just, meld them all together and make purple titles.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, this is when Judgment Day is going to have those titles for a while, which I'm guessing at WrestleMania they're going to lose them all.
That would not shock me.
Yeah,
that would
you
not
have
shock
Awesome
me.
Truth probably win the Raw ones, and then Street Profits win the SmackDown ones.
No, that could be. I would love for Bait and Dunn to win those.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got all that, and then we see Oscar highlights. The Rock, Bad Bunny, and Naked John Cena, nude Cena. We're all at the Oscars.
Oh, and Travis Scott was at Raw last night.
He was. He drove a Cybertruck up.
He did.
Those things, what a mess.
Yeah.
After that, we had that match, Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree versus The Way. Sort of talked about the most important aspect of that already. After the match, I did really appreciate that you could tell the look on Candice's face that it's like, hey, I've got something to do now. And I love that for them. I love that because Candice is awesome.
Yeah, she is. I did like after, she basically made Maxine cry and Maxine turned to that boot from Indy that Candice looked at Indy and goes, pin her.
I know, that was cool. And then Indy was like, I don't feel great about that afterwards. Yeah. And Candice was like, who cares? Raise your damn hand.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like that. That's good. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. So then backstage, Aldis and Pierce talk about how it'll be 3 teams from both brands. I think it was 3 Raw, 2 SmackDown. Then, of course, Judgment Day. Finn walks in and says, is this a joke? Me and Damian got to defend our 2 titles against 5 teams in a ladder match? Everyone knows I don't like heights and I don't like ladders.
Yeah, JD turns says he doesn't like heights. That shit made me laugh.
So then Pierce says, the biggest WrestleMania, think about it. You win, you cement your legacy as one of the best tag teams of all time.
Hey, says Damian Priest. We've proved we're the best. It's why we have these. Now, whose idea was it? Yours or his? And Aldis said, I think that's better left unsaid.
He used one hand. He just used his thumb and did this.
Yeah, he did this. I don't know how he does this.
Like that.
That kind of hurts. Oh, man.
So then, Pierce gets upset that Aldis kind of threw him under the bus and was like, hey, calm down. We hear your ideas. And Finn's like, am I invisible? I always have ideas and nobody listens to them. And Pierce says, well, we had a conversation with Miz and Truth. And Priest just gets even more upset and says, oh, my God, that's who you're getting advice from. We'll stop this right now. We want Miz and Truth tonight. And Pierce says, they're not here. They're doing press. As our Truth walks in and says hi. And Pierce like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to do media with the Miz. And Truth says, oh, that's on Monday. And Pierce is like, it is Monday. Truth says, my bad. That's why the Miz isn't here. So Priest steps up to him and says, I'm glad you're here. Pierce, make the match.
That was a funny segment. That was a really funny segment.
It was good.
And the great thing is, too, like during this and then, during this segment when our Truth steps in, Aldis is doing everything he can not to laugh.
I know.
After that.
Come on, Steve, try it. See, you got it.
Hold on a second. Look. Oh. She's laying down. No, maybe she's not. She just did like one eye blink.
Oh, winking?
If I turn around, it's gonna be bad.
Don't turn around then.
I'm just gonna do this.
Don't turn around. Because now we get the Cody interview with Michael Cole. Steve's favorite part of the whole show. My goodness. You call yourself a Cody fan. You weren't thoroughly invested in this?
So anyways, Cody says,
no, Cole says, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, Cole jokes. What do you want to talk about?
Rock made it clear that as your boss, you may never wrestle for the title again. Why'd you slap him?
Cody says, I know Rock is saying that, but I'm not sure that he's my boss. But if he is, it feels really good to slap your boss. Before the red carpet mirrors and promoting the energy drinks and the mana, he was a wrestler. He says he knows what the slap was. It was receipt. Cole asks, why'd you agree to a tag match for night 1? And he mentions Seth's history with him. And he says Seth made it clear he wanted to be top champion, and he's the last person to beat Roman one-on-one. Granted, it was a DQ, but he never got his rematch. Maybe he wants to beat Roman and end the streak. How can you trust Seth Rollins? Cody says people change.
Fair question.
It wasn't long ago you were sitting in a plexiglass cube with a Syracuse singlet berating every one of the boys. He's talking about like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was WrestleMania 27. That was longer than 10 years ago.
I know,
that was 2011.
Right?
That was 13 years ago.
My goodness. He says, I went off in the distance and smashed the throne, and now the one who sat upon that throne is my closest working ally. I even teamed with Jey Uso. Seth and I have not always gotten along, but he always had my respect. If I had to go to war with anyone, I wanted to be Seth, and this is a chance to finally get a fair fight with Roman one-on-one. He says, I knew we were going to talk. We're old friends. I want to answer a question you asked me last time. And they show Cole asking Cody last October, is that going to be your story, the losing to Roman? Is that going to be his story? And he says, a good question, even now. Great. He says, here's another. Do I look nervous? Hell, even frightened? I'll be honest. I'm nervous and scared. And these old head, he called old head podcasts. He said these old, Steve. Yeah. I was like, I know we're old, but we don't talk about this. He says they want a Jerry Springer show, and they say, oh, he's in a suit and he's scared. He says, I can't say get him next year because I already said that. The story is no longer about Roman versus myself. It's about who followed me through all this. It's about a young girl named Hannah, blind, who came to me just to feel the experience. Harley, who just went through spinal fusion, who wanted nothing more than the weight belt. People like that, fans of my own family. My sister, the one Rock didn't mention, was the original shotgun rider who watched my dad in front of thousands to driving him to a signing where there are only 40. My mother, she's the only one I got left. I can't hand it to Dusty, but I can hand it to Michelle Rubio. Or how about my number one fan? Somebody you know well because you hired her. Brandy Rhodes, the most beautiful woman in the world, who took a chance on a goofy guy in a mask who took RKOs every night. If anyone deserves the stories beyond me, but Michael, it's up to me.
Roman, he stood up and got serious. He composed himself like immediately.
He said, Roman, you said last year we're in the third inning. I'm telling you right now, and I think you know, we're in the last inning. Michael, I'm so glad we got this moment. You get to say for the first time in history, for the first time in my family, a Rhodes is undisputed WWE champion. Michael, you get to say at WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes finished his story. This honestly, the end there makes me think he's not going to finich the story at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
That's
the whole Bret Hart thing that he never said that he never guaranteed victory if he knew he was going to lose.
He never guaranteed. Yeah. Well, Chad Gable was like, "This is my moment. I'm doing this here."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was a good little rah-rah moment there for Cody.
Yeah. Totally was. So then after that, we get Asuka and Kairi. They make their way out to the ring to defend the tag titles against Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. But first, Liv Morgan's backstage. Becky walks up to her, extends her hand. Liv shakes it, and then Nia rushes in and just pounces both of them.
Yeah, man.
She throws Liv into a road case and then power bombs Becky through a table. And then Kenny Dykstra, JB Noble, producers, rush in to break it up.
JB Noble had a big smile on his face. I don't know why. I wonder if sometimes it's hard not to laugh.
It could be. It's like, oh, man, it feels good to be on TV again, even
right.
fleetingly.
Yeah, let's see those pearly whites. After that, we had Kabuki Warriors versus Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Kind of not surprised with the outcome of this one. Of course,
it was
the
a good
Kabuki
match, though.
Warriors picked up the win, but it was a really, really good match. Yeah. Yeah, Zoe and Shayna, they're all so good, man. They're all so good.
They
Zoe Stark, she's going to be, if they play their cards right creatively with her, oh my gosh, that in-ring ability coupled with like some good stories and a good character, oh my gosh, she's so much fun to watch in the ring.
I know she is. And Dakota Kai was kind of the determining factor here because Shayna has the clutch on Kairi, and then Dakota grabs her leg while the rest can't see or not paying attention. So Shayna lets go of the hold, turns around to see what's going on. She turns back around. Kairi hits her with the back fist. Asuka tags in, hits a spin kick, and then they hit their finisher to get the win. Then we're backstage in the Judgment Day clubhouse, and Andrade walks in.
This was cool. Priest
was cool.
Can we help you? And then Rhea's like, I told him to stop by. She says, Andrade, unfortunately, Dom isn't here tonight, but he speaks highly of you. So when he gets back, maybe we can speak business if that interests you. Of course. I am all about the business. And then he walks off, and Finn says, not for nothing, but I've known him a long time, and I agree with Dom. He could bring a lot to the table. And Rhea says, yeah, he's interesting. And Priest's like, great. Now can we focus on the 5 teams when we face Mania? It starts tonight with me handling Truth.
Man, he's so angry.
Priest is all over the map.
Yeah, he is.
All over the map, man. It makes things kind of awkward in Judgment Day.
Oh, very much so.
Like, hey, Andrade, he's a big deal. And Priest is doing the math in his head. He's like, hold on, this is another upper mid-card guy. I'm the only upper mid-card guy here. I'm Mr. Money in the Bank. Now they want to bring in this guy?
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Doesn't work for me, hermano.
Then we get R-Truth versus Damian Priest. Truth makes his entrance. Before the match happens, we get some video packages for Nakamura and Bronson Reed ahead of the Gauntlet match. This is a fairly quick bout. Not a huge surprise here. Damian Priest gets the win via South of Heaven choke slam.
Boy, that crowd was into Truth when he had that submission locked on, though.
Yeah,
boy, they wanted him to tap. Yeah.
Yep. Truth that the 5-knuckle shuffle, AA, STF, yeah. In the end, though, Judgment Day ends up ringside, as does DIY.
We are.
So after the match, Judgment Day just beats the hell out of the Gargano champ.
Yeah.
Just beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, that was cool.
Jey Uso's walking backstage. Yeet. He's got a promo later. We get a short Becky promo. She says, I shouldn't do this so close to WrestleMania, but here we are next week. Nia Jax, you, me, last woman standing.
Hey, that's going to be a good match.
I know.
That's going to be a good one, yeah. Nia's going to get buried a bunch of stuff underneath a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
After that, Jey Uso comes out, claims that he's in our city. He says, Jimmy Uso, Big Jim, big brother, let me holler at you for a minute. I came here for a fresh start, but the bloodline won't let me go. Jimmy won't let me go. How about this? Brother versus brother. Twin versus twin. Blood versus blood. Uso versus Uso. I swear at some point he said me versus me. After he said twin.
Did he say yeet versus no yeet?
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, I think so.
I swear to God, I thought he said me versus me, which is a hilarious way to refer to twin versus twin.
Yeah.
Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania. Hey, Jimmy, accept my challenge. I'm going to knock the yeet out of your ass. It was it's such a short, efficient promo.
Oh, people saying he did say me versus me. There you go.
Oh, he did? Okay, good.
That's pretty funny.
I think that's amazing. I was like, oh, that's a clever way to refer to his twin.
It is. We got a Gunther video package highlighting his Intercontinental title reign, and then we got an interview with Gunther. He says, whoever believes, as far as people thinking he's overconfident regarding his title reign, he says, whoever believes that, it's not my concern. Don't worry about my legacy. 640 days ago, I beat Ricochet, become Intercontinental Champion. I took responsibility since then to bring honor to this prestigious prize. I elevate it to heights never seen. Tonight, the creme de la creme will step in the ring and leave it all out there to compete against me for this great prize at the greatest stage of them all. I'm flattered by it. It's an affirmation of the work I put in it, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be in my position. So whoever wins tonight, good luck.
You know what I realized is that when I do my Gunther impression, I can't do it while he smiles. I can't do the Gunther impression smiling.
Yeah.
And yet he's always smiling his way through these promos. It's great.
He is. He's always either smiling or on the verge of smiling at all times.
It's like the longer his reign, the more. The longer his reign, the more he smiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Then we had a gauntlet match next, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first two competitors were Ricochet, JD McDonough. Ricochet advances via... They photographed this like basically perfectly, the air he gets.
Oh my gosh.
On the shooting star press.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But they gave a ton of time and it was a really good match.
It was, yeah. JD's a hell of a wrestler.
Yep. Ricochet advances after hitting the shooting star press on JD. Bronson Reed is out next. Bronson advances after hitting a tsunami on Ricochet. Sami Zayn is next. So he then advances after hitting Reed with a sunset flip powerbomb, but Reed, pissed that he lost, sticks around the ring, hits Sami with a tsunami as Nakamura, who's the next entrant, is making his entrance. And so odds stacked against Sami Zayn. So Nakamura gets in the ring looking for a Kinshasa. So Sami rolls him up to get a 2 there. Eventually, though, Sami hits a haluva kick on Nakamura. And a really well done thing. It wasn't like set up with the exploder first. It was like Nakamura was running back to his corner and he didn't see Sami coming in with the haluva kick. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
So Sami hits the haluva kick, Nakamura eliminated. So at this point, like Sami's had 2 matches plus the extra tsunami. He's spent. Chad Gable, the final entrant, comes in, and rather than taking advantage of a weakened Sami Zayn, he's like, "Come on, get to your feet. Come on, come on. Yeah. This is our time. Let's do it." And it probably cost the match. He put the ankle lock on right then and there. He probably would have won.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wonder. So the finish was just, God, it was just, there was so much going on there.
Sami spent like at least a third of this match in an ankle lock.
He did. Yeah. Yeah. And I swear he was going to tap. I thought they did such a great job, with this finish here. It ended with Sami rolling up Gable out of nowhere kind of. And getting the win, and then afterwards, Gable just completely and totally emotionally crushed. Gets up Sami. Sami hugs him, says thank you. The whole good sportsmanship thing. But What would you feel? How would you feel if they try to go bad guy with Chad Gable now?
Oh, I'd welcome it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I mean, it's something different. He's been kind of doing the Alpha Academy thing for, what, several years?
Ages. Instead of giving Maxine Dupree a pep talk, maybe he's just like give her some shit talk and quit Alpha Academy. You guys are all losers. After the tag team loses at for the qualifier, be like, you guys are just losers.
Yeah.
I'm a winner.
So I need to surround myself with winners. I'm joining Imperium.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all.
Speaking of Imperium, though, Gunther made his way out and held the title up.
Smiling.
Sami.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, I interrupted you. What was your point?
Oh yeah, no Gable and Imperium. I don't like that unless he adopted like a European accent.
All right.
It's me, Chad Gable.
All right, maybe not.
Like a French one. What Francois Gable, the master of professional wrestling.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's really bad. Really bad.
It's terrible.
He's a comedy guy, like
yeah, it would just be another comedy thing. I know.
All the bread chef guy. That's what he is.
For people who didn't watch Fun Wrestling, they're completely lost now.
Yeah, we've been doing this a long time. There's a lot of in jokes who like shown up and
so many
made their exit.
Yeah. All right. Before we answer questions, I guess we have some news to discuss here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this is all going to end up playing out, but it's interesting nonetheless.
So yesterday afternoon, Tim Marchman, John Pollock, Brandon Thurston had a report on Front Office Sports, which identified 4 previously unnamed corporate officers mentioned in Janelle's grant against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. So according to that report, the identities of these WWE executives, and they are current WWE president Nick Khan. He's corporate officer number 1. WWE COO Brad Blum, corporate officer number 2. Former WWE co-CEO and board member Stephanie McMahon, corporate officer number 3. And former head of WWE Legal Department Brian Nurse, corporate officer number 4, were ascertained in this report by, quote, cross-checking the details of the suit against publicly available records like online resumes, corporate filings, as well as information provided by sources familiar with WWE and then confirmed by Grant's lawyer, Ann Callis. So WWE issued a statement to Front Office Sports regarding their report, stating, quote, WWE takes Miss Grant's allegations very seriously and has no tolerance for any physical abuse or unwanted physical contact. Neither Nick Khan nor Brad Blum, prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25th, 2024, were aware of any allegations by Miss Grant that she was the victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor does the complaint allege that either had knowledge of such. Also, WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston's outlet. This morning, he posted a thing where he took the salient parts of the lawsuit regarding the various corporate officers and put the names in there.
Okay.
So I put a link to that in the description if people wanted to take a look at the parts in the lawsuit, in the complaint, which mentions the various corporate officers and their roles in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it suggests degrees of liability.
So my reading of it is Vince set up a meeting between Grant and Blum.
Mm-hmm.
Then Vince, this is all kind of laid out in the WrestleNomics thing. So it's not like I'm interpreting it. This is what it's basically.
Yeah, right.
And then Vince set up a meeting with Brian Nurse, head of legal. Ordered, I think, Brian Nurse to hire Grant.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then elsewhere in the lawsuit is stated that Vince had a conversation with Blum and Nick Khan regarding it's unclear what exactly was laid out. It seems like it was just, let me pull up the exact quote so I'm not misstating.
Yeah, sure.
What it says, because I have it here if you give me a moment.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
One moment, please. If it's no, that's in March of 2021. This isn't the meeting per se. I'll get to that in a second. Miss Grant introduced herself to corporate officer number 1. That's Nick Khan. When they passed each other in the hallway, Khan responded by telling Miss Grant that he knew exactly who she was.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then apparently that's when Sorry, I should have had this up. Okay, so this is from section 245 of the lawsuit. Quote, following Miss Grant's messages to McMahon on March 9th, 2021, McMahon summoned Miss Grant to his condo that evening for a conversation during which McMahon confirmed that corporate officer number 1, Nick Khan, indeed knew exactly who she was, as McMahon had met privately with Khan and Blum and advised these individuals of McMahon's connection to Miss Grant. I want to make sure I had the wording right there.
Yeah, right.
So as far as, and then Nick Khan was, his name was brought up as far as potentially being included in the NDA as well, I believe, because he had some knowledge of the connection between McMahon and Janelle Grant.
All right. I mean, again, no idea how this is going to play out. If Endeavor's going to, look at this and make decisions, you got to figure that there's probably ongoing conversations and strategizing. So yeah, time will tell. I have no idea where this is going to lead.
Yeah. Really don't know either. Yeah. Don't know either.
Would you like to answer some questions?
We can answer some questions.
Let's see here.
Blake Whitehouse here says, if Drew doesn't win the title at Mania, does he lose a lot of credibility as a contender?
Yeah. I mean, it sort of depends on where his story goes afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it's going to go to CM Punk.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to go.
Well, I mean, Punk ain't going to be back for
till the summer, yeah.
4 months after that. So they're going to have to do some stuff with him.
Well, I guess depends on the nature of his loss, too. If Drew loses because CM Punk comes to the ring and costs him the match, that's a little different than taking another clean loss to Seth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, yeah.
It's still not a great look for him, but...
Yeah, again, it all sort of depends on, is he going to be... If he transitions into, Heater for the Bloodline or something like that... If there's some role for him that exists that can be, used for some good stories instead of him being champion, then then contendership doesn't even matter at that point. It's like, oh, this guy's got power. He's got stroke.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as we know, officially, there's been no word of whether he's re-signed either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So that's an aspect of the story too. If he hasn't re-signed or maybe has no intention of re-signing, not necessarily leaving WWE, but he's spoken about want to take some time off, I think.
Yeah.
That could be a situation, too, where they're not going to put the title on somebody who's not going to be around after the summer or something like that.
Earlier in the show, Carson Gillis dropped a super chat. It says, this isn't good. He says, my dog pooped in my neighbor's yard and I didn't pick it up. Okay, that's not what I do, though. If it's an area that isn't somebody's yard, that I don't think people will be stepping in or walking to in a normal way... If it's that, then I don't pick it up. If it's in somebody's yard, then no, you got to pick it up. I don't like to, but I do. I don't think my dad would have, which is where I take my entire philosophy from. So yeah, no, you don't do that. He says, learning after my head of the table, friendo. No, don't. That's not the lessons I'm teaching. I'm saying use judgment. It's not a black and white situation. There are shades of gray here. There's places where you can drop it. If it's deep in some woods, it doesn't matter if it's deep in some woods. If it's in a place where nobody's going to be walking, it doesn't matter. Other animals are out there dropping their shits. Mine is fine. Don't leave it in their yard. That's bad.
I'm happy we could at least agree on that.
Yeah, I've never said otherwise.
I don't know if you've ever made it so crystal clear that you would pick it up in someone's yard, though.
Yeah, no, I do. This is a shoot here. Yeah, I do that. If it's in somebody's actual front yard, you got to pick that up.
Yeah, you got to pick that up.
But then it's ridiculous to say I'm in the middle of some woods where there's all sorts of other duck shit and bird shit and horse shit, and I'm going to not leave my dog shit. It's ridiculous not to do that.
It's about establishing good habits.
No, it isn't. I don't go. That's not has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it whatsoever. I'm not 10, man. I brush my teeth every night and every morning. Good habits. What am I? What am I, 3 years old? My goodness gracious.
Dylan here asked, should Motorhead ever get inducted into the Hall of Fame? I mean, if Triple H is running things, it's going to happen at some point.
3 epic theme songs? Absolutely.
Also, if Drew wins at Mania, would you be for or against Gallus being called up and aligning with him? Yes, but only if they get their original theme back.
Hey, yeah.
Instead of, yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Cameron Bortolazzo here says, with Cleveland announced today via Impulsive Podcast, the home of SummerSlam, August 3rd. Mark your calendars. Which native WWE superstar will have the biggest moment? Will it be Logan Paul? Will it be The Miz or Gargano? Well, considering the fact that Logan Paul is the one who announced it, Logan Paul is getting top moment in Cleveland. He might actually challenge for Cody for that title at that show.
Oh, that could be. That could be. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be big. Let's see here. Oh, dude, I'm not going to try to do this. AJ Otani, I appreciate this question. I really do, but that's a lot. He says, now that we're officially in the 9th inning, how would you map out the Cody bloodline story by innings? So I don't think it was the Cody bloodline story. It was the entirety of the bloodline story.
Yeah, and that was Heyman that made that.
Heyman made that, yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I guess you could go by WrestleManias? Like from SummerSlam 2020, because I think it's when Roman got it, to WrestleMania 37 would have been the next one.
Yeah.
And then that's like the first 3 innings? No, I didn't.
But it was just last year that Heyman said they were in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
So maybe it's one of those baseball games where there's a lot of offense in the first 3 innings. So you come out of the first 3 innings where it's like 12-10, and then they finally got the right relief pitchers in there, and then the scoring stops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's all like 3 and outs, just boom, 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 boom.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all 1, 2, 3 innings.
Yeah.
Disc Golfing Goon says, Larson, where's your love for the Philadelphia Eagles come from? And Steve, what is your favorite sport to watch outside of wrestling?
Oh, basketball. Oh, my God.
Basketball is Steve's favorite sport.
Oh, yeah.
I started liking the Eagles because Randall Cunningham was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He was a quarterback in the 80s and 90s. He was great.
Yeah, I don't. We'll see, man. We'll see what it looks like out there.
You're
pessimistic on basketball today. Probably have to wait till Friday. But I had 13 of 25 yesterday.
That's really good.
Yeah. Dave Matushek says, considering there's a possibility of Chad Gable's shoulders not being done. Nope.
Shoulders were down.
Nope. The shoulders are down. Sorry.
Not entertaining conspiracies here on the show, all right?
Not that one, anyways.
Not that
Others, perhaps. Bro. How much have you been paying attention to this Kate Middleton stuff?
Oh, I didn't know anything about it. And then Maggie posted something yesterday, and I was like, I'll watch this.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, wow, okay, something's weird going on here.
Bro, it is riveting. Now they're saying that Prince William might have murdered a guy that she was having an affair with. It's crazy. Man, where is she? What happened? Where's Kate?
Don't know.
Where'd she go?
Don't know.
Dude, I have been my Twitter at this point, my For You Twitter feed.
Oh, it's just all royal family conspiracies, huh?
It's that, and then it's also post up a TikTok video that is a reason for it not to be banned, and because there's a lot of funny shit there, and so it's all just Kate and that, and then like a smattering of Oscars because I was watching a lot of the Al Pacino memes.
Yeah,
man. Oh, wow. Dude, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's see here. Aussie says, do you see them putting Gable at the end of the Gauntlet as an admission? They missed the boat on him entirely. Do you see it building Sami taking Brock's role, losing to Gunther, and they'll build Gable up to win after...
Probably after Berlin.
Yeah. Assuming, Gunther has the Intercontinental title that long, yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I
mean, at that point, heck, just wait till WrestleMania next year if it's in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, wow. John and Alistair voice.
John
says, who sold the best given the following moves? Who sold the best lumbar check? Isn't that Candice LeRae?
Oh yeah, that's a really good sell. Buddy Murphy's always sold it really well too.
True. Last Ride.
I mean, what can you really do? You're just getting
feel like
powerbomb from 10 feet up.
there had to have been somebody really small that just got so high up there and just launched all the way down. But I don't know who that is. Who sold the best black mass?
Not Art Anderson. I mean, I actually remember Cody selling that pretty well.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, is there anybody who like spiked themselves? It's always people who spike themselves.
Well, I feel like for the black mass, you just got to face plant pretty much. You just got to fall on your face.
You got to do the Biff Tannen thing where you spin around a bunch of times.
Yeah. That's what I think Cody did. I think he did a half spin in it.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. And then the best RKO sell. Isn't it, man, there's somebody who spiked themselves on the RKO, and it was awesome. It was like Ricochet or Gable. Maybe Ricochet. It was Gable.
Yeah.
Gable. I remember Gable sold something really, really well. John Hosey says Big E sold the Black Mass pretty well. That was the best Black Mass of all time. Oh. Alistair shows up, Black Mass him, and goes to a different company.
I know. Teleports out. I know.
Oh, Keyshawn says, I think RVD sold the Last Ride well. That sounds familiar.
Oh, that would sound, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
Imagine if you take the Last Ride and kind of get some bounce off impact to get some air, that would be something.
People are saying Spike Dudley. I don't remember that, but I could see it. I could totally see that. Let's see here. I'm trying to find some names that we haven't had. Oh, wow. Jesse Helsia says, if you guys open a Steven Larson food truck, what would your specialty be? Like breakfast. He mentions here McGriddles. Like breakfast sandwiches sound really cool.
Yeah. Like I'll make my pancake recipe and we'll make pigs in a blanket.
That's sick. That's a
you
cool
can get
idea.
With blueberries or without.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, Die Hard Homer says scalding hot apple pie. Absolutely. The hottest apple pie.
No, bro,
like,
no.
I got spicy apple pie.
Oh, you got
sign a waiver before you buy
it. Oh man. All right. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. We don't have anything else, right? That's good. We're good. We're good on the show.
That's all. Yeah. Gone
all right,
about
cool.
Almost an hour and a half. I think we're good.
All right. That's going to do it for the show. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Later on today on Friendo Club Wrestling, we've got our 2K. Hey, we got to talk about my GM.
Okay.
Specifically? I have an idea.
All right.
Redo.
No.
Listen. It's boring. Well, I want to customize our pool. We got to customize the pool, man. It's so boring the way we're doing it right now. Look,
how are we going to customize the pool?
What do you mean? How are we going to customize the pool? It's an option.
I know the mechanics behind it, but what's the draft pool going to be? Who's going to be in the draft pool?
These are all awesome questions. I feel like we need to make these decisions, not let the dumbass game make it for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, we have to make a decision. I just want clarity. I'm looking for answers. Like, who is going to be the draft pool?
Okay, right now, we were not able to draft NWO John Cena. They've got a whole NWO John Cena in the game. Why can't I draft him?
If we had done the custom draft pool, we could have done that, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We customized the draft pool. Yeah.
Okay.
So we just do it over.
I feel like this is all spurring from the fact that you got obliterated the first night.
Obliterated is a really strong word. Look, whatever you want me to say, I lost the first night. Okay, that's fine. I don't really care. It's first week. Let's redo it.
There's plenty of weeks left.
No, I don't care about. Well, I do care about winning, but I care about having fun more than anything. And I want John Cena to fight regular John Cena to fight Prototype. I want to draft 3 John Cenas.
You know, here's the thing: we need to figure out how the free agent pool works, because last year everybody was available. Not everybody, but like they'd cycle through people available. But it wasn't like
annoying.
It was all.
I want them all
enhancement talent.
Put yourself in the draft pool. That's what John Hosey's saying. I want to put us in the draft pool.
No, because Steve's going to draft me and job me out.
Okay, like we can have some assurances. I'll be honest with you, I hadn't considered that, but now I really want to do that. Now I want to do that.
No,
or
I'm
I'll
gonna draft
bring
myself.
somebody in.
I'm gonna
I'll have
draft you number one and job you out to everybody. Even Chuck McWagon gets the win over Steve.
Not Chuck McWagon. See, doesn't this immediately sound better than what we're doing?
I gotta think about it. You know how I am. Once I start something, I want to see it through. You know.
Okay, you saw it through. You won week 1 and you win. Okay, you win season 2. We'll do season 3 now.
I won season 2.
Yes, you win season 2.
Right.
It's a
can we, if we're doing full, can we do custom brands too?
I don't think so, but let me look into it and put a little bit of effort into it. I'm still posting up on Friendo Club Wrestling. I'm still because people love drafts. I'm still doing the draft, and we'll just make it a gag that we just like redid the draft.
Well, if I win, I don't want that to be a gag, though. I want that to be taken seriously.
Okay, we'll take it seriously. We'll take it as seriously as you fucking want to take it. You win, okay? You win. God damn it.
Can you get a hat made for me that says my GM 2K24 season winner?
Fine. We could do that. As long as I get one that says season 1 winner.
Well, that's up to you. You have the means to make.
Well, it's all coming off the business card.
Oh, I got to pay for it?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Who was supposed to pay for it?
I don't know. I thought if I won, you'd pay for it. That seems fair.
Well, then I won season 1, so we both paid for both of them.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, fine. Anyways. Listen to this. Burr Winning says Pat McAfee confirmed today that his co-hosts AJ Hawk, Darius Butler, Boston Connor, and Ty Schmidt will be playable characters. I don't need all that. Are they in the game?
Sounds like it.
That doesn't sound good. AJ Hawk is kind of funny. I don't know the other guys.
Are they going to have AJ Hawk sitting there silently with that library wall behind him?
That's what if it's that, then I'm all down for it. Yeah.
With smoking a cigar. That's kind of all he does in the show.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Joe said something. He had a chat. Oh, Joe Compton here. Been a member for 11 months. Can you please answer the question that I posted? What question?
What question?
Where did you post it, Joe?
It must be on YouTube because I don't see it on Twitch.
Joe Compton. Oh, didn't we answer this already? We answered this earlier in the show.
What was it?
He said, would you rather be number 1 in the Royal Rumble or number 1 in a 6-man gauntlet? That's Rumble. We answered this earlier in the show.
Yeah,
you could just hug the bottom rope.
Yeah.
Joseph.
1,000%.
Pay attention, Joseph. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around. Oh, we're getting cues, Larson. We're getting cues.
We're not getting any cues.
Yeah, my eyes say Oppenheimer.